Hey guys, we're here today to talk about the GHD, the Glute Ham Developer. Really great tool for building strength in the posterior kinetic chain, and absolutely one of my favorites. So we're going to talk about this particular GHD, some of the features of it, what I like about it, and we'll talk about all GHDs. And we're going to have Gina come in. She's going to help us out today and do some demos for us. So GHD is great. Feet go in here. And hips go up here, and we can switch around a little bit. Most GHDs are pretty much the same. There's a lot of variations. This one has rollers and knee pads, but all of them pretty much adjust here, so we can adjust this back and forth depending on the length of the athlete that we're working with and what exactly we're doing. I like this one a lot because this one adjusts up and down. We're going to show you some of these adjustments in a little while, but they certainly come up and down for different applications. So glutes and hamstrings do a few things. We're going to talk about the big one today, which is hip extension. So we're going to start with that, and we're going to get into GHD and show you how we train hip extension with that. So Gina's going to come in here and be our model today. Say hi, Gina.
Hello.
All right, good. So she's going to jump up into what we call a regular GHD position, so feet in for a hip extension. So this is sized properly for her, but we're going to talk about sizing here. Now the foot cradles can come back and forth, and we want them far enough forward that the front rollers are thigh pads. We want the hips should be in front of that. We want the pelvis to move without having to touch those front rollers. So here we go. We're going to start off with this hip extension, and she's going to bring her hands back. She's going to drop down, squeeze her glutes, and pull her body back up. She's going to give us a few rounds of that. Now the key here is to make sure the spine stays neutral throughout this. And if we can keep the spine neutral, and we can go as deep as we can while keeping the spine neutral, but it has to be a really short movement, like she's going fairly deep. Gina, can you shorten that up just a little bit for us? Right there, and straight back up. This can be a tiny little movement so long as the glutes and the hams are what's controlling it. We shouldn't feel anything in the spine. If we want to make this heavier, we can cross the arms over the chest, or even take the hands behind the head. A lot of people like to add weight to this. I really don't like that. I like to keep this body weight only. But this right here is a beautiful exercise to really start to learn the interaction between the hips, to be able to extend the hips without moving the lumbar spine, which is super important to keep a healthy spine. Gina, go ahead and come out of that for me. All right, so one of the things that we might not be able to do, some people might not be able to do this very well. And if they can't, that's okay. We can use it and make a big check down in this exercise. So we're going to go ahead and Gina, jump back up there. We're going to go ahead and do a hands-in hip extension. So Gina, come in front of the machine for me. Good. And the foot plate in the back actually has handles on it she's going to grab a hold of, and then she's going to come up here. Now, this time we're going to support the pelvis right on top of that roller. So that we're going to drop the legs, squeeze the glutes, and lift up. That's a really great exercise. It's, again, pure hip extension, but we can really feel. Bring it a little bit further forward. You're a little bit right there. Good. We don't want that roller to move at all. Those big cheese wheels shouldn't roll. They should stay right where they are. Really great hip extension there. You can really feel those glutes. Great way to teach people how to turn their glutes on if they can't do the full feet in hip extension. All right, good. Go ahead and come on down. So glutes and hamstrings. We talked about the first hip extension we did was glutes and hamstrings. Through hip extension. This one, the second one, this check down that we were just doing is really great using just the glutes for hip extension. But let's talk about what the rest of the hamstrings do. The hamstrings are hip extenders and knee flexors. So we're going to use this machine, and this is the benefit of this particular one that has the rollers and the knee pads. We're going to do a razor curl. This came out of the University of Arkansas, and is a great way to get the hamstrings done through knee flexion. Gina's going to jump up here and show us that. A little bit different setup than what we were doing in the hip extension, although it looks the same. We took the rollers a little bit higher, and sometimes you might want to bring that foot cradle a little further forward. We want to make sure, show us the setup. As she comes down, let's make sure that her knees are going to be on that knee pad. So make sure she's got contact there, and it shouldn't be a lot of contact. She's just on the corner, but that's perfect. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the the torso parallel to the ground, put the hands in the small of the back. We're going to drive the knees down and then pull the hips back to that back pad. Give us a few of those, Gina. Beautiful. So it's a fairly explosive motion that gets the hamstrings to fire and carry the weight, the whole weight of the body through knee flexion. And a really great way, thank you so much, a really great way to keep the knees very healthy. We end up really imbalanced in the knees with too much quad strength. This gives us a great deal of hamstring strength in the knees as well. So those 3 exercises right there are going to go a long way to keeping your people strong and healthy. But we're going to add one more here before we get out of here today. And this is we're going to get to another part of the glutes. We're going to get to not the glute maximus, but the gluteus medius. So we're going to go back to that second hip extension that we were doing. I'm going to change angles on you here. And Gina's going to jump up. It's the same position, but as we pull up, we're going to, so as we drop to the feet down, drop the legs down, the feet are together. And as we pull up, feet come apart. So we're actually going into abduction, abduction, as we are going into hip extension. So the glute max is certainly involved, but the gluteus medius and gluteus minimus get a lot more involved in this one, and a great way to build up strength in the lateral stabilizers of the hip and keep everything really healthy through that. Thank you so much, Gina. All right, guys, so that's just a brief tutorial on the GHD and some of the ways that we use it. There's certainly more ways that you can use it. Those are just my favorite. You guys have a great day. Thanks so much.